G'day everyone from a transfer bus here at London Heathrow. I've just jumped off this A320 flight from Frankfurt to London on British Airways. Real quick review about that. I still just don't understand why people don't fly Ryanair everywhere internally in Europe, because British Airways is essentially just Ryanair, where you get a free water bottle and a free snack. All in all though, a pretty painless flight, and we touched down in London Heathrow about 15 minutes late after a late departure out of Frankfurt. In this week's flight, we are flying the Kangaroo Root, aka QF2, from London Heathrow to Sydney back in Australia. This opportunity to do this route popped up when I figured out I needed to get from Europe to Sydney for the Sydney Half Marathon. Had the choice where I could have flown Emirates for actually a little bit less money. It was about $100 Australian less, but it's not too often you get to fly the Kangaroo Route, and I'm flying Emirates anyway in a couple of weeks' time. So I guess this flight is just reviewing the Qantas A380 in economy class, which I've never flown. I've flown every other economy product that Qantas has, and we'll sort of compare it to one, Emirates, and two, the 787 product that I got to fly a few weeks ago. Beautiful. So I've just arrived here at Terminal 3 security. It took all of about 3 minutes. So I'm going to head to the Qantas business class lounge here in London, hang there for a couple of hours, and I'll check in with you there. It's super quiet here at Terminal 3 right now. Last time I came here, it took me about 90 minutes to get through that security point, and I had raging food poisoning, so this is it's much better. So welcome to the Qantas lounge here in London Terminal 3. Here is a very sped up walk around. There's a buffet / a la carte restaurant downstairs, as well as the famous Qantas cocktail bar upstairs. On arrival, as you can see, it wasn't too busy, so I just headed downstairs as I was pretty hungry. Off the menu, I grabbed the lamb koftas, which was super nice. Still a little bit peckish afterwards though, so I went up to the buffet and just grabbed some penne pasta. The bread selection in the lounge was also amazing. And then the bathrooms were kept super clean, super huge, and honestly felt more like a 5-star hotel bathroom than something that you would find in an airport. Before I knew it, the 2 hours were up and it was time to walk to my gate.
Thank you.
And here is my home for the next 2 flights. This is a Qantas A380-800, first ordered on November 29 in the year 2000. This was delivered to Qantas on April 11 in 2011, meaning at this point, this aircraft is 14 years old.
Good evening. Yes.
So welcome to my seat, 65A. This is the last seat in the cabin. So I did find that the recline was a little bit limited. So these seats are pretty old. You can still see we've got the older Panasonic personal TV here with this sort of carbon fiber looking background. I've put my comparison to the Qantas 787 just up on the top there, so you can sort of really see the difference in quality. You also had this little net under the seat, which really helps you feel like you're floating when you're sleeping, I guess, and a large single-piece tray table. Jury is out on the internet whether the Qantas A380 has a 31 or 32-inch pitch in economy class. To be honest, most websites say 31 inches. Aero Lopez says it's 32 inches. It feels more like 32 inches over 31 inches, to be honest. Like the 31 inches on my last Finnair flight did feel quite short. Even though the 787 has a much narrower seat, I would much prefer to spend 12 to 15 hours on the 787 seat compared to this A380 seat. Now, it is absolutely always a win when you get yourself a full row on a long haul flight like this. I knew that these 2 seats were booked for the Singapore to Sydney leg, but that's all right. I'll get some good sleep on this flight. One issue with window seat 65A is you can't see anything over the huge, ginormous A380 wing.
Litchfield National Park, just outside of Darwin. We all have a place that fills our heart and makes us feel safe. Give us your attention for the next few...
On an Airbus H125 helicopter. And you're in a Qantas Airbus A380.
Fasten your seatbelt by inserting
mechanism. Just ask a crew member for help. Your Qantas magazine is located in your seat pocket. It contains a health and safety section with important information.
Mark Benton and Second Officer Kurt Melville, and we'd like to add our welcome to that of the Customer Service Manager Russell and the rest of the crew aboard this Qantas A380 service to Singapore and onwards to Sydney. We're all ready to go. We've just got an Emirates aircraft behind us. It should be taxiing out of the way in the next couple of minutes, and we'll be able to commence our journey at that point. We are ahead of schedule, and we've got a flight time of 12 hours and 45 minutes, and we expect to have you in Singapore on time. Weather conditions for the flight tonight is expected to be smooth all the way through. When we are closer to Singapore, I'll touch base again to give you an update on our arrival details. In the meantime, please enjoy the flight.
So just like that, we were off until our A380 had other plans. As we were pushing back, the cabin just went completely dark.
Captain, ladies and gentlemen, apologise for the darkness that you have there. Our auxiliary power unit, which is the small jet that gives us our ground power on the ground, has just stopped working. So we're probably going to end up towing back onto the gate while we rectify this. So just bear with us and we'll have some lights back on very shortly. Thank you.
The irony of all this was the day after Portugal and Spain had been plunged into darkness with no power, so there was a few jokes being thrown around by the cabin crew.
That's quite nice for you, though, isn't it? Oh yeah, very much so. It's very nice.
Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check. Little jet engine that powers our electrics on the ground failed there on pushback. Our engineers are going to get on board the aircraft and they'll do all the checks that they need to do to investigate that fault. There are means we can work around. We don't actually require it. It is an extra part of functionality of the aircraft. We can actually go if that isn't working. But we do need to start the engines beforehand at the terminal, so hence why we had to come back to the terminal. It'll take the engineers a little while to go through that. They've got all the required checks that they need to carry out. I apologise for the inconvenience of that, but safety is of the utmost importance, and we need to make sure that's all done before we can head on our way. In the meantime, we'd like you to just remain in your seats. We're going to have some external power plugged in, and we'll have the lights back on very shortly. Thank you for your patience. the fault has been rectified. It's going to take us about 20 minutes to reboot everything and get ourselves ready to go. So we'll have you on your way very shortly. Thanks for your patience.
So while we're on the ground, we'll have a quick look at the Qantas moving map. I do love Qantas's interface and the way they set out everything in their in-flight entertainment, although it is a little bit slower on this slower screen. Again, on the 787s, this all works flawlessly without lag, but if you can deal with a little bit of lag, honestly nothing wrong with the interface on the A380. So I've brought this up in my previous 787 video before, but what I do love about Qantas's interface is you can see what you're going to be served for the meals. They don't do the old-fashioned paper menus, sort of like what Emirates still do, but having any sort of menu is better than not having a menu at all. So I really appreciate being able to see / know what we're going to be served for our meals. So I knew I was going to sleep a fair chunk of this flight. So I just threw on the new Captain America movie. I find Marvel movies are really easy watching, so they don't keep me awake and allow me to drift off to sleep when I am trying to sleep on an aeroplane. Although this one did have some pretty stinky ratings. Dinner was then served very shortly after takeoff, and I had the chicken breast with mashed potato with some steamed vegetables on the side with a Bundaberg ginger beer, my absolute favourite drink of all time. I was mighty impressed by the bread rolls. They were warm and sort of had like this garlicky butter in the middle, so I really enjoyed those. The tray service is back on Qantas. This is something that is very new, as it wasn't a thing on my December flights to Mexico and back. We were served a small tiramisu as dinner, but this does mean that the ice cream service that Qantas was kind of famous for wasn't a thing, and I will miss that. The A380 has a very standard lavatory, so probably no Mile High Club in these ones. After my trip to the toilet, it was time to use all 3 of my pillows, create my little cocoon, and smack out a good 7 or 8 hours sleep. After a very solid sleep, I woke up just north of Nagpur in India, and decided, and I felt like it was time for a cup of tea. So I rang the bell and politely asked the flight attendant for a cup of tea, and I was served with a cup of tea, Tim Tams, and these cheese and crackers. About 90 minutes out from Singapore, I threw on Happy Gilmore, which was my third movie, I guess, for the trip, and the cabin lights were brought back up for the breakfast service.
Through with the breakfast service. If everyone could please bring their seats to the upright position.
Hello there, what would you like to have for breakfast?
Can I have the omelette, please?
Would you prefer a drink as well? Tea, coffee, juice?
Can I have an apple juice and a coffee? Thanks. So previously on this trip, I'd had the best omelette I've ever had on an aeroplane. But as far as aeroplane omelettes go, this one from Qantas was a 10 out of 10. And as you can tell, I was kind of shocked about it. But it was fluffy, cheesy, yummy, and all around, I would actually have it again.
Shortly be commencing our descent to Singapore. Weather conditions there are fine, temperature 30 degrees. We'll have you disembarking at the terminal there at 10 minutes past 6 o'clock. If you're leaving us here in Singapore, we'd like to thank you for flying with Qantas today. We look forward to being of service, but next time you travel with Qantas. Good afternoon.
So having already reviewed Qantas's in-flight entertainment a whole bunch of times, I'm not going to make this one too long. If you want to see a more in-depth review about it, probably check out some of my older Qantas economy videos, but I'll give you a really quick rundown here. Again, the screen is a little bit laggy on older A380 system, but essentially it's fully stocked with all the movies and TV shows. Qantas have a deal with Paramount Plus, so there are full seasons and box sets of TV shows, Paramount Plus shows on their flights.
Welcome to Singapore. For the local time is approaching 5:58 PM on Wednesday the 30th of April. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is off. As always, smoking, vaping and the use of e-cigarettes is not permitted while disembarking or throughout the terminal. Please take care when opening the overhead lockers as baggage may have moved and could fall out. Before leaving, ensure you check your seat and seat pocket for any personal items. Remember, if you're transiting through Singapore and continuing on this flight number or onto another Qantas flight, please check your boarding passes to confirm the flight number and departure gate. All of your bags and personal belongings are to be taken with you. Make sure you're at the gate at least 30 minutes before departure. If you can reach your phone, you can now turn off flight mode. On behalf of all of us here at Qantas and OneWorld, thank you for choosing to fly with us. If you're visiting Singapore, we hope you enjoy your stay, and of course for those returning, welcome home.
good trip, everyone.
Yeah, I'll probably just see you all when I'm on the
Thank you. So because of our delayed arrival into Singapore, I really only had 45 minutes on the ground to wander around and do some plane spotting. I was planning on going and getting a fancier meal, but I just didn't have the time.
For premium boarding. As we are still boarding special assistance through door B at A-Star, it's only possible boarding for our first seated rows 1 to 5. That is only our first customer seated rows 1 to 5.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to welcome you aboard our flight to Sydney. My name is Tony and I'm your customer service manager. On the flight deck we have Captain Mike Hagen and First Officer Richard Hall. Along with Barry, your customer service supervisor, and the crew will be looking after you. We'd like to welcome back all Qantas and oneworld frequent flyers on this flight to Sydney. It's
flight plan and a bit of the sublead in Sydney, which is the reason for our delay here at the airport before we get going due to curfew requirements. We just got a last little bit of paperwork to sign off up here and we'll be getting underway. En route down into Sydney, anticipate to be fine. There is some showers and a bit of a southerly going through Sydney at the moment. A bit cooler, obviously, it's coming into winter. More information about that will be close to the other end.
off and landing. You can undo your seatbelt by pressing the button or lifting the flap. Keep it done up low and tight during takeoff, landing, and whenever the seatbelt sign is on. This includes infants and children. While seated at other times,
So, welcome back to 65A, and we are airborne on a little skedaddle down to Sydney. Threw on a classic 40-year-old virgin as dinner was served. I had the roast chicken with pumpkin, very similar to what I had on the first flight, but it was still pretty scrumptious. I then once again got 4 or 5 hours sleep and woke up as a breakfast snacky snack was being served. It was this sort of like sausage roll pie thing, which is a-okay. But yeah, again, being a shorter flight, I pretty much slept the whole way and woke up as we were coming into New South Wales.
As we're shortly landing into Sydney, I'd like to share some information about our arrival. For customers with connecting flights from Sydney, our team on the ground have been working to rebook you to alternative flights. Please check the Qantas app or website after we arrive for your new flight details. If you haven't received your new flight information, see the Qantas ground team for assistance. If you're continuing on another international flight and have a boarding pass, check the screens throughout the terminal for details of your next flight departure. If you don't have a boarding pass, make your way to the Qantas transfer desk located next to the international security screening. If you're continuing on to domestic flight, please clear immigration, collect your bags and clear customs. If you have a connecting to a Qantas domestic flight, please make your way outside with your bags to the Qantas domestic transfer area. For Jetstar domestic flights, please follow the signs outside the terminal and take the Sydney T-bus to Terminal 2. As always, the Qantas ground team is happy to help.
We were sort of in this holding pattern for about 25 minutes before we were allowed to enter Sydney. This is due to the Sydney airport curfew. There's no aircraft allowed to land before 6 a.m.
Qantas would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the local lands and waterways on which we live, work and fly. We pay our respects to elders past and present. The local time is 7 minutes past 6 and we are Thursday the 1st of May. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is switched off. As always, smoking, vaping and the use of e-cigarettes is not permitted while disembarking or throughout the terminal. Please take care when opening the overhead lockers, as baggage may have moved and could fall out. Before leaving, ensure you check your seat and seat pocket for any personal items. If you can reach your phone, you can now turn off flight mode. On behalf of all of us here at Qantas and One World, thank you for choosing to fly with us. If you're visiting Sydney, we hope you enjoy your stay. And of course, to those returning, welcome home. Thank you and good morning.
And that's pretty much it for my QF2 Kangaroo Root experience. Look, the Qantas A380 is not as good as the Emirates A380 product, but given I live in Perth, this was really a once-in-a-lifetime almost experience to fly. The the Kangaroo Root from London through to Sydney. I'd still give it a solid 7 out of 10. The food is much improved on Qantas at the moment. The legroom is more than sufficient. The in-flight entertainment system is very good. Yes, given it's got an older screen. The staff on both the flights were exceptional. Qantas cabin crew really are doing a good job at the moment. And apart from a little delay out of London, it was a very painless flight. So yeah, if the price is right, if it is the same as Emirates, I would fly Emirates over Qantas. If Qantas was a little bit cheaper, I would absolutely have no hesitation to fly them from London through to Sydney. I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to reply to you. Next up, we are comparing the Emirates A380 to their 777 product as we fly from Barcelona back to Perth, Australia. I'm really looking forward to uploading that video, and thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.